Amazing or whatever.
Yeah, Disney wants that.
Yeah.
Let's get fun machines for Pleasant.
Yeah. Welcome.
Okay, Ron, look at this, yeah, let me get it, you get it out and you get it ready and I'll exact.
Oh, yeah, I'm gonna need it. No, we're gonna take one of the.
Ready, always, never brought. I'm always, jumping the gun.
Always.
We did the day that we.
I know. I'll go what?
10 months. Yes. It's very good.
I don't know.
Whenever you've done, make sure it's, whatever it's for.
No.
We're in.
Now, I know.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. Everybody for doing.
James.
Mixed rigs up today. AK, we didn't feel like moving the desk back.
Yeah, right. Grace. Yeah. Don, I put it all up like this. Kidding me? Morning, Don.
Good morning.
Whose purse is here?
Tracy.
Oh, good.
Insert, there you go.
You will
I see that, that's awesome.
More, yeah. Three more.
Really great.
Wait, cover yours, you hide it already?
Yes.
You probably know that.
Yeah.
There is a plate after all.
There
It's
is.
not open yet.
All right. There you go.
Look at what I
Let it start to go. Every time I,
Morning.
oh, maybe this is.
Morning. How are you?
That's it.
So much over 10 minutes to go, this thing go. Let me just get this.
To me,
It's comfy, man, so.
Is that a secret over there?
It
To be unveiled.
can't, not on your property.
Oh. Oh, I see.
Gotcha. Baskets. Good morning.
Hey, how are you?
Good.
You're back.
Yeah.
About the, no, she hasn't responded. I will call her today. She was on my list of things to do today.
I filled it out, it's at home.
No, that's okay, because, Brian, if he, I'm hoping he's here today, because he'll take these and he'll, well, if I wine at home, and I even laid it out. Dang it.
The stamps took me 3 days, Eileen.
Sorry to be such a nag. Like, I need
I
stuff.
get it.
I need stuff. You can either email it to me or Ryan will, Brian will.
Okay.
I talked to Brian and he does have.
Oh, good.
You wanna,
No, I already entered in the system.
but what do you want me to put on?
I wish I could somebody that do there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and since I already have the slip,
Okay.
I already know what they are, so you have to be fine.
As soon as I get my truck back.
Was it still in the shop still?
Yeah.
Look,
It was a torque converter, but it was $2,000 for a torque converter.
well, you have to do your transition.
3,400 with a 2-year warranty to do the whole transmission.
Putting on about 12 carrots for it now.
Oh, good for you.
Yes.
And back in the fold.
They sent it to Joyce, a copy of that, but I don't know if she even looked at it.
Good morning.
I don't know, she didn't respond.
Yeah.
I don't get well.
Okay.
Yeah, last I talked to her, she wasn't doing it. I'll give her a call. But she says, I haven't driven along that road before she drove up to the
Senior center?
senior center. Yeah, and Des is
She's
saying,
still driving.
what are you doing?
11 work, maybe?
Pardon?
Does 11 work? Okay, I gotta move it, put the scale to 10:30 and I've got the shelf in the back. Harry's car, because my truck's still in the shop.
Oh, dang it. Yeah, and we might even walk down to Christine, yeah.
All right, actually started.
I have letters from her kids, and so look like that one's yours. Oh, yeah. And then I don't speak Spanish or about this, so
Ready?
I don't know, can you do a grandkids that can help?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah. Comes in very.
I bet.
Thank you.
Um,
Good morning, Amy.
Good morning.
We should talk to
Alright.
your
Okay.
secret affair and Brian's here.
I'm gonna keep them both in the corner.
Okay.
I was set up, set it up. I think it's the next draft, but no. There's always something on it. I think it has to be something with the night, real or anything. I, no, I think it's like rail, something like that.
Friday, let's just.
Good morning. How are you?
I appreciate the fact you read my post.
I appreciate good no matter what. One of the first things that pops up when I get.
You know, I don't think everybody comments on it, so it's like,
Yeah.
I just throw it out there in the universe, so yay.
I never, I'm not a good driver.
My daughter, when she left here to go back to Tucson. drive her-
Yeah, for today? Excellent.
This big, yeah, all the way.
I've already interviewed.
Everything.
Yes.
Okay.
Nope.
And next day she tried to start to get in. So far they're in, it's 2018, looks like, no. I forget it. And I was always trying to go to convertible. She loves it.
Well, there you go. Well, wow.
I know. Well, they got made one.
Oh, yeah.
I,
But then the most places have air conditioning in the SUV. He's gonna redo. Cool, that's all. Little bench trips at 100.
It was.
Okay.
Okay, the island cute.
I like it.
I have my form, but it's just, yeah. Like, oh, yeah, okay, and then I'll add on. Yeah, take it on my.
Well, my truck needs about $5,000 at the work, so I looked at.
Well, it's used cars, so you gotta be in stuff, right?
I'd say you're buying old Dodge Dakota and all that. And I bought. Denver players, yeah, they cover it now for a while. But I just.
Missing my floor, and I literally.
Yeah, the problem with it.
Other probably what do you need?
Well, I just got it.
We're gonna have a show.
It's up to you.
I gotta, yeah, he's on the road.
I can do it for that. Tomorrow.
Is Joyce still sponsoring?
That's last year's.
Yeah. I don't know.
I think it's last year. Where's
Okay.
She did.
I brought my sheets so we can go over it and before we do that. There's a board meeting after.
Oh, I did the.
Yeah, Don, Gary put something out.
There is some nice.
Right? For real. That is so true. That, but then again, that's always been key for me to say. No, no.
We do before.
Yeah.
Yes. And this will probably do like a few days ahead because we won't have all the items.
Right.
Because, you know, everything is.
Yeah, or even that.
Yeah.
day, print them out, that's
Yeah.
what we need to deal And
Oh,
then.
I don't want to do it.
Did she, those things.
Huh?
Well, somebody has to download it.
I got here.
You got your.
We got Rick. I just.
Good thing, 'cause he didn't have time to
Larry.
read it himself.
And then they have to be in Jim. So I don't know where Jim got
Oh, so there's like, they're in the car, each item.
for the Skyline.
Right.
So there's the one, there's two Skyline. So there's a bid sheet for each item, and you put it next to the item. So we have to print it out. So we have to print out like. the value is,
You're on
the
time.
price it is.
Early.
All right. And then.
But you can download them from
Greater Giving.
Greater Giving, and I can show you where that's.
Yeah, I know about the bid packet, someone with nice figure numbers, yeah, so that's just part of that whole process.
Yes,
right?
yes.
And then
And who did it last year? Did you do it
I
last
think
year?
we basically, there were a couple of them.
Well, only one person. You run it every day.
You're okay.
Oh, you're talking about the,
I'm talking about at the end when the event is
Right.
over.
right.
Or I've done it before, so it's however.
Okay.
I just.
Yeah, no, all this.
So I voted out.
So I talked to Tracy yesterday, and so she said they paid twice. So one for Joe and one for Jared. Okay, so she's still projecting.
Yeah, I only see the one payment so far.
He's still projecting. And then, I talked to Gary, and this is Gary. So I just need to know.
That I don't know either.
Okay, so we'll
I
talk
just
about
took
that.
it up, I just.
Okay, there's the line. We got.
Yeah.
Larry.
No, I feel like. Did we get a thousand? Five.
Past 12.
Yeah. And then on, they said it shows.
Alrighty.
Even though it shows Robert.
Morning, everybody.
I know. I'm gonna clean in the rear.
Morning, if you'll join me in the pledge of allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Excellent. Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
Now we're gonna review the four-way test for Rotary International. And remember, we're emphasizing the words in bold. The four-way test are the things we think, say, or do. First,
Is it true?
second,
Is it fair?
third,
Will it feel? Better gracious.
fourth, fifth.
Is it fun?
All right, good job.
All right. Eileen,
Oh, yes. I have the most fantastical quote today. Fantastic. I have to find it because I got 5,000 things on my phone. Don't trust everything you see. Even salt looks like sugar.
I like it.
Sure.
okay. I am looking around. We do have a visitor, but it doesn't look like we have any guests. So Jerry Wood is our visitor, and she's with the Alzheimer's Association. And she will be doing a presentation today. And then we've got a birthday, Jackie Sheehan. And I haven't seen her for a while. Yeah, no, she's still with the club. And then we have a Rotary anniversary, Chris Martin.
Mr. Just got back from his honeymoon last weekend.
Really?
Yep,
Gee, he's a busy guy.
he is a very busy guy, had to catch up 2 weeks worth of work. I know, I laid a bunch of it on.
Okay, all right. All right, we got a few announcements. One, Amy, thank you for sending this. It's kind of cool. Our blood drive. It has, our blood has been distributed. And it's kind of cool. They let us know where it goes. You know, just give us, it kind of makes it a little bit more personalized. And so we've collectively been sent to Kaiser Sunnyside, which is over in the Tri-Cities. Rogue Regional Medical Center, which I assume is somewhere in Southern Oregon. I'm guessing. Good Samaritan Hospital, and that's the one in Corvallis. Salem Health and Oregon Health Science University Hospital. So it's pretty cool. You know, we get around that. Send the Rotary a good cheer for Jack. We'll come back to Jack. He's busy. Gary.
Yeah. Okay, there will be a brief Rotary board meeting following this meeting. And then the October board meeting is going to be on the first Tuesday of the month, October 3rd. I'm going to keep harping on this. We're still looking for sponsors for corks and kegs. There are some baskets back here that have been turned in today. This is for Anthony. Empty Bowls is on October 6th. There's a VIP event. October 7th is from 4:30 to 6 at the all-new Lake Stevens Community Food Bank. And then there's a job fair tomorrow, sponsored by the Chamber at the Middle. That is my report.
That is, yeah. All right. Hey, Jack, do you have anything to report as treasurer?
Other than hopefully the few people supposed to pay dues. Yeah, the main thing.
Kind of goes without saying. All right. Ron?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, there is.
Just corks and kegs. Corks and kegs, corks and kegs.
Well, the link is live, so please buy your tickets for those of you who didn't sponsor. Buy your tickets. We're at 70 tickets if you count all of the tickets that go with the sponsorships. And the 4 tickets that came in, we're at 70 tickets already. Wow.
Okay,
Yeah.
so how many of those are just for the sponsorship?
66 for sponsorship,
Okay.
and then we did 4 that came online. Brand, I think you were one of the people that bought tickets. And then, so we have 70 tickets left.
Okay.
And I've changed the email so I get the notifications because they were all going to Jim's like,
Why are we getting?
yeah, so I'm like, my bad, so that's been fixed.
Yeah.
The donation form that she put together on our email system is very easy to download.
That's Brand.
And
that-
our Rand did it, and it's very easy to download and fill it out. Takes about 4 or 5 minutes.
There's a copy on the basket, did it?
Yeah, he did a fillable form. He took our old J.
There it is. Beautiful.
So,
Good job, huh?
yeah. Added color, zhuzhed it up.
Yeah.
I didn't do that.
So continue to promote our event. Share it on Facebook, share it on Instagram, whatever, you share it with your friends, family. Continue to bring baskets. I see a few that have showed up here, so that's awesome. And we still need sponsors. We still have time to get sponsors, so.
And for those of you who sponsored, please send me your guests because I need to enter them in.
Okay.
To Greater Giving ahead of time, so when they check in, we'll know that they're assigned to that table. They don't. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So-
I didn't see the gate for that school.
Oh,
With the boat and thing.
it was publisher, like I don't have access to Adobe, so I have to.
It's cool.
All the licensing.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay,
Pat on the back, because you all.
The interpreter.
Oh, and Oh, is it my turn?
You got-
Sorry.
Well, yeah, you guys can,
Well, I
you're
was just gonna remind everybody, we have a fireside coming up. I think the first time at Rustic Fork. So I think it's October 11th.
Yeah.
So please,
That's
please,
Wednesday.
yeah, yes. So please, it would be really nice to have a good amount of people there. Kelsey reserved the back part of her space.
John, you drink wine?
They have cider.
So we will void this month's Tuesday, the second Tuesday, because we're doing it the next day. But just a reminder, we still have that running one at Lake Stevens Brewery every
Oh, sorry.
every other Tuesday.
and no.
Well, every, yeah,
Every
not
second Tuesday of the
monthly.
month.
Yeah. excuse me.
Sorry, I didn't
Oh,
know.
that's fine.
I'm fired.
No, no,
What time is it?
that was established way before you, so.
Okay.
What time is it?
I think I have it down at 5. I'll be there.
What day?
They do have.
11th,
Wednesday,
October 11th.
11 to 5.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay.
It's a little, yeah,
I got it down there.
Wednesday. She said Wednesdays were the best day, so I opted for what was best for her. And I don't know if the club's gonna buy a couple of appetizers. I don't know how that works.
We can.
But,
Depends on your budget.
well, I don't have a budget, so. For everybody.
That's what you're like, man.
Anyway. I think that's all I have.
I've got an announcement. I cleared it with our partners for us to donate a week at our Mexican place. Loreto.
Will you please send me all the information?
Yeah, and you just want it in the form of pictures, or should I put something together?
If you could send me pictures, something I can put in a certificate and fill out the form. I know it's a lot, but,
Fill out the form,
and email it to me.
well, at least it's
Because I'm
fillable.
I'm keeping track, that way nothing gets missed.
Sure.
I'm sorry, I apologize.
All right. Hey, Brian.
I put out an email for the holiday or the Halloween booth, and then we'll see you all. You will come in, try to, if you can make it, try to schedule it on the thing as early as possible, so we know ahead of time, so we at least have 3 people.
When did you? I don't know. I don't know if there's any-
But I'll have it out. this week.
I can do
Sorry,
an
Brian, this is
hour.
for-
Halloween,
Harvest Fest.
Harvest Fest, you know, where the kids come by the booths, or candy, just so if somebody's gonna need good candy. I don't know who wants to do that, but I'll leave that up to somebody else. But we need candy for it also. So I'll send out, and then the registration, and whoever's gonna get the candy, just put in there, you'll get candy. And then as far as the booth, I can deliver canopy. So but I won't be there. So I'll put that in the registration.
I can be there. I have to be there for like Students Education Foundation, so I'll just put my time.
Lori has ordered the candy in the past.
She gonna bring her big dragon?
She's
Yes,
offered it.
yeah.
She's fairly clear about that, so
Wait, it's not
that's a
right.
definite for Halloween.
Thanks, Tracy.
All right.
Tell Lori to get better candy. Get that laffy taffy stuff.
I'm sure.
There's some good stuff. I'm gonna sit there, I'm gonna eat some good candy.
So I'm sure all is good with the foundation. Michelle, thank you. Oh, Linda has, she's still away, but she did send kind of an update with some interesting things about the big flood in Honduras. And I'll just kind of read off what she said. The IPA group has sent $16,000 for flood relief and has which includes our $1,000 that our club sent. And as well as several other groups and individuals. They will have been back. Okay, they being the group that IPA set down will be back by the next week's meeting, so we should get a real full report of everything that happened and what's done and is being done. And another interesting note they reported that they have 10 university graduates this year from people that we sponsored over the years through IPA in our schools. And I'm hoping that my student, I just got a letter from my student.
Oh, nice.
And I get to have it translated by my granddaughter.
I got a letter too, and I gotta find somebody to translate.
Yeah,
His granddaughter's available for her.
yeah, she's 5. Actually, she can speak very well, but probably not quite ready to read it. All right, membership is going well, I'm sure. Vocational services. Kristen, I'm sure that's going well. Kendra, how about anything on programs? Does Kendra have anything regarding programs?
1 second, I was doing a child's hair. It took me a minute to get to the mute button. So we have Jerry today with the Alzheimer's Association, and I also I'm scheduling people from this foundation called the Backstage Foundation, which I believe is has to do with like the arts and dancing and drama. And what was the last one? Oh, I have a contact from Girls on the Run that will come and talk with us about that program. And I also am just got an email back from Igor from Beeline Organic, because he was the beekeeper we were supposed to have come speak, and they had a family emergency, so we couldn't. So hopefully I get him back on the schedule.
That's good.
But that's all. All's good.
That really stung when he had to cancel. Jeez.
Oh.
Dawn, come on.
Wow. You were just all.
I'm gonna need more copies.
That reminds
me of our
last president.
When you got just remember, when you gotta stand up here every week and try to fill an hour, you gotta wing it every once in a while. Man, you've been busy this week.
On what?
Well, geez, this, I would worry, I mean, yeah, we should really vote on it as a board, but, this is cool.
That was that was targeted towards the male audience, and we went more with the targeted towards.
I'm a huge fan of the Viking show. I liked it.
The coolest thing about that is, I'll tell you, is I asked AI to create that drawing of that Viking. I just told my phone, I need a really dark, broody Viking with a crown on, looking at the camera, and AI produced that.
Wow. This one, we replaced that last one. The official version. Which I think is pretty cool. Don't you?
November 11th stand out.
He took the image, but he made it. I mean, I can make it. I can.
No, it's too late. We'll do it on the next one.
Next year.
Next time we have one event on November 11th, we'll do that.
Yeah. I'm just saying.
Yeah. I will. I'm just giving you that.
I know.
So do you have anything else to report?
No, I really don't. We're gonna ask the board this morning to approve a new tent.
Yeah.
for Lake Stevens Rotary.
Yeah, one that identifies us.
Says Lake Stevens Rotary, correct?
Nice.
Lake Stevens gear.
LSR swag, lsrswag.com.
Can we put a air tag on this one?
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
All the stuff stays around.
Yeah, right, yeah. And one of them, golf ball would be.
We're still looking for a bunch of little grabby things, and-
Grabby things. You go on Sunday.
All right, you made it okay,
Yeah.
good, all right.
I used my parade and then they got swept away.
She's got this nagging urge to go up to glitter up, she's gonna reach.
Went for a walk last night and it like made no sense. I didn't grab her on.
All right, Sergeant,
Oh, ready now?
we're ready.
All righty. Everybody have their tickets? Don't bother, I have the winning one. I'm gonna have our guest speaker draw the winning ticket, please.
Oh, God, the pressure.
The red one, only the red one, please.
I'll read it off to you.
Read the last. Just one ticket, please. This is not Chicago. Let's read the last three numbers.
Oh.
The suspense is coming.
7, 4, 0.
Wrong one, sorry.
Oh my God.
Whoever was right ahead of you traded.
Oh, it's me, I'm sorry.
All right.
That's what you get when you self-serve your tickets.
No, put that in there. Here's your consolation prize.
Great, thanks.
We'll want that back later. Alrighty, how's everybody doing today? Good. Hello, folks online, all two of you. All right, who doesn't have their badge on? Fine.
That's a fine, you find.
That was hardcore today.
There we go, there we go. We all have your, okay, our guest speaker even has her.
All right.
We need to blast in. Okay. Thanks for joining the club, because I think we all have been at one time or another, right? So, let's go with happy bucks. Scott, are you happy? He is happy, he says. Can't hear you, but we're good. All right. Kendra.
He's still talking.
We still can't hear you, Scott.
Scott.
You're muted.
So there we go.
I'm happy it's Friday and the Seahawks are winning. Go Hawks.
Good deal. All right. Kendra. He's taking care of kids getting ready.
I am happy. My mom was in a really bad car accident this week, and I know that she's really grateful, and we're all really grateful for the Lake Stevens paramedics and EMTs that were there to help her, because obviously, like, that's a terrible situation for anyone to be in, but they definitely helped her feel more calm and obviously as safe as possible. So just really grateful for the fire department.
All right, there you go. President.
Well, I'm gonna follow up with that one. I'm very happy for my neighbor, Sarah. She was in a bad accident on I-5. She was in a convertible driving along in like the right-hand lane, and there's a big dump truck driving in the middle lane. And she was kind of creeping a little bit forward, and the dump truck didn't see her. And he started moving over to the right lane, and he clipped back of her car, causing her to turn sideways across the front of the truck, going 60+ miles an hour, skidding along. And the truck driver realized something was going on, and he looked over the hood, you know, he saw her and he hit the brakes. And she was still basically driving. So she hit the gas, you know, and spun off the side of the truck. And when she got off to the other side of the truck into the fast lane, the truck, of course, did this, and it started her in 3 complete revolutions, skidding down the freeway in the fast lane into the carpool lane. And she stopped. She didn't flip. That's what she was really worried about. She ended up stopping perfectly parallel with the guardrail, never touched the guardrail, but she was only 6 inches away from the guardrail, facing into the traffic. And the good news is that everybody in the freeway could see this horrible thing going on, so everybody was slowing down, so there was no danger. Obviously, the freeway was stuck, and that must have sucked. Anyhow, she walked away. Other than being really shook up, she was fine.
Yeah.
So it does happen. So keep your calm when you're being.
When there's turbulence.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like the vehicles did their job, and sorry to hear about Kendra's mom, but if the car did its thing, that's why she's probably very safe. So I missed the last couple meetings because of the start of the school year, it's still crazy. And then last Saturday, I had a great time riding Lopez Island with a bunch of folks. We had a wonderful time. We even had a great meal. So thank you to Amy and Brian. And I have a little present for you.
Aww.
This is a result of something that happened.
I think there was blood, sweat, and tears over that meal.
There's a lot of
It was, yay. So we made fajitas and included like corn, rice, and beans, and my can opener that looked very normal was broken and no one could open up the cans.
And worse yet, the bottle opener part of it, which most of these can open, it wouldn't even work. How does a bottle opener not work?
That Rand had the idea, and then Heather Googled it, so you can like run a spoon on the inside part and wear down the metal. But then Connor cut his hand doing that. It was a mess, but it was fine. Good memory. Thank you. We need
Yeah.
Happy dollars. I've had, my mom has visited. She left. Now she's back again. My dad and stepmom are coming tomorrow. My nephew and his family all moved in next door. It's just really awesome. Yeah, literally next door. We share the same driveway. So
It's gonna become a compound.
it might be.
Awesome.
I'm happy it's Friday, but I'm also happy that the market is up and I'm making money, even though I'm at work.
What happened in the last 2 days?
Yeah. Last 2 days were.
Spoiled.
I'm just happy. Yes, sir.
Today will be a good day. We're gonna like kind of clean up and put away our summer stuff. It'll be fun to get organized, and then tomorrow's the YMCA auction. I'm really excited.
I didn't see your daughter on the school bus the other day. I drove her around. She was not there.
Oh, well, we drivers.
Take her name on.
Yes, I think we're like the only 2 kids at the stop, us and the whole Amazonas. Are people physically there?
The day I drove her out, I was.
Yeah, we drive each other. Try to decrease the burden.
But I need bus drivers, not parents.
Sorry, I don't have cash today. I still have good things. I
Just getting it out of the way.
am so grateful that Greater Giving is all up to date. So grateful, and the link is live, yay. And I'm just really glad it's Friday. It's been a good week, but it's been hectic.
I'm happy that Chris Jacobson is gonna have the most awesome table on the lake today. 6 months in the making, but I think, we're gonna deliver it today, and I'm sure you'll post some pictures.
Wait a minute, is that advertising?
So we have the christen it.
We do. We have to feel some beer on it.
What's your happy announcement?
Friday, my happy announcement, I might be getting a pretty cool delivery today. No, happy Friday, happy to be here, happy for this. Lauren's making money, I'm making money, so I'm very happy for that. Thank you, Lauren.
Keep it up.
You keep it up, we just listen to you, that you're the godfather, we just follow you half the time.
I got quite a few happinesses today. Couple of meetings that I missed, but I'm also happy that the reasons that I missed it was because business is going well, and we've been super busy.
Yay.
And yeah. I love your coffee shop. We need one here.
Mr. BB?
Yeah. I'm happy it's Friday and I'm happy the sun's coming out and it's gonna be a great day and. Everybody has a good day. What?
First day of fall.
First day of fall, yeah. Anyhow, there you go. Whoops.
Here's a happy 5, glad to hear Kendra's mom is doing good. I think bumps and bruises, so good, those are healed. Sad, happy that I go into my last Pac-12 opener tomorrow. So, Pac-12, but, and then I gotta do the cool thing last night, I've never done before, I got to pick pots. So there'll be a beer coming in a couple of weeks at the brewery that I actually contribute to do it, so.
We call it the hot house or?
I think it's a fresh hot.
There you go.
I'll say that, the ride on Lopez Island last week was the funnest Rotary event that my family has ever done. Nathaniel, Anthony and Grace were wonderful. My grandkids had a ball. My grandkids wanted to ride back with Eve and Dawn. So they actually did ride onto the ferry with you guys. So we just had an absolute ball. I would encourage any and all of you to go next year. I've committed to my grandchildren to rent a cabin next year so we can stay over and
Good idea.
do those things. So
You better
things are
reserve
great.
now.
So such a great time.
Better reserve now, literally.
Yeah.
Yeah, that campground was really crowded, so.
No, for cabins, so.
Yeah.
All the cabins
The
were.
rooms were absolutely fully occupied, that's why we took the motorhome. Yeah,
That's pretty cool. Told us crashing your motorhome.
there's plenty of room right outside of it, yeah.
Underneath it, you have the whole front lawn.
We did.
That was great. Hopefully more people can join us.
I'm gonna thank the fire service. They were on our condo association's meeting the other night. Kevin was in Austin, so he couldn't come, so Ryan Lundquist ran the whole thing. Ron was there. There was a number of backups that were on the call, but Ryan did a great job. So Ryan asked the group when he was done, he says, please tell Chief O'Brien I did a better job in making the presentation. So our club, or the president sent a really glowing email to Ryan about how well he did and how information it was on the levy lift campaign. I'm sure Ryan is going to show that to Chief O'Brien. You think?
Yeah, so we have Chief coming in, what, in a couple weeks?
Yeah.
Maybe we should ask that, right?
That's what I was just saying.
He did a great job.
Sorry, Kevin, we understand. Good deal. Awesome.
Happy to be here. Happy to be Friday.
Good deal.
In through another week, there you go.
All right. Thanks, sir. President.
All right. Well, with that,
It's a miracle. It's 8 o'clock. We're on time.
we actually are. So Jerry?
Yeah.
Jerry Wood, again, the Alzheimer's Association, is our speaker today. And thank you for being here.
Thank you. Come up there.
All
Thanks
yours.
to you, because you come across that you're the boss this morning, so. Can you just give everybody to sign in, because I have a grant for Snohomish County, so they track how many people I'm touching with the money that they give us for me, so. Thank you for letting me come speak to you today. Often my topic of the Alzheimer's Association is something that people want to know about, don't want to know about, you know, it's kind of the table that people kind of scoot up. And so a lot of times when I do a talking engagement, I tell people, you know, this is just good information to have. You know, this disease is very much stigmatized, and it's just good to know this information in case you ever need it for seeing a neighbor wandering, or you know, I actually was at a Rotary once, and a gal came up to me afterwards. She said, you know, we had a young woman in her 50s, and she started acting different, and she didn't notice how different until they traveled for a weekend trip for Rotary. And she came back, and he talked to the husband, and he said, oh, she's doing that outside of the house now. So, you know, so it's a very secret in the closet type of thing. So we're just out here trying to let people know to be more open about it, and that we're here as a resource. And I brought some things that I'll leave on the table so that people can grab anything. I'd really recommend at least the 1-800 card or the 10 warning signs, but I did bring a couple other things too about some things that I'll talk about right now. I didn't bring my presentation as far as electronic, because I really prefer when I'm Rotary to make it more personal and just to be looking at you and talking and make it more open for you to be able to ask questions and things like that, instead of it's like one more presentation, one more slide. So, you know, I always try and make it a little bit more different like that, because Rotary is a little bit more personal. So I just bring my little old fashioned pieces of paper so I don't forget something, and just do it the old classic way, right?
Nice.
So
So we always start our presentations with our vision. So our vision is a world without Alzheimer's disease and all other dementias. People often think that we're just about Alzheimer's because we're the Alzheimer's Association, but our website has things on, different things too. So I'll go over that in a little bit. So there are more than 6 million Americans that are living with Alzheimer's disease. And a lot of people don't ever know how common it actually is. I've got some statistics here that are a little bit scary. So Alzheimer's and other dementias, it's going to cost our nation $321 billion. And by 2050, they think these costs are going to rise to a little bit over 1 trillion. There's certainly a shortage of caregivers. There's a shortage of places for people to go that's safe. There's a shortage on people knowing what to do, how to do, where to put somebody, and the knowledge to be able to make that decision. And that's something that we have some information that might be able to help with that. Caregivers provide more than 16 billion hours, valued at more than $272 billion in care costs. And it's a pretty expensive disease to have, and some people live just a little while, and some people can live 20 years, and often they might outlive their caregiver if they're really physically healthy. Mortality, the number of deaths from Alzheimer's disease, this is the statistics from 2019. It's 3,585. It's the 9th highest death rate in America, Alzheimer's is, and it's not often talked about. Hospice, 5,459 number of people in hospice with the primary diagnosis of some kind of dementia. And hospice is definitely something that's a misunderstood topic too. A lot of times people think when you go into hospice that it's, end of life care, and that's not true. That's not the same definition. People can actually graduate from hospice and go back, and it's actually more of making sure the person's comfortable and have as much comfort in their life as they can. So the most common question I get, and this is too bad I don't have this slide, but I get this question all the time. What's the difference between dementia and Alzheimer's? And I'll do this in a presentation, and often in the slides, and then 3 slides later, somebody raises their hand and says, "What's the difference between dementia and Alzheimer's?" So, so it's one of the most common questions I get when I go to. So, as it says here, the dementia is a collection of symptoms relegated to cognitive decline. Dementia is an overarching term, and so Alzheimer's is just the most common kind of dementia, and that's why people recognize it a little bit more than some of the other ones. It's biological changes in your brain, and 60 to 80% of diagnosis of kinds of dementia is usually Alzheimer's. And there is a specific way to get a specific diagnosis. A lot of people don't know there's a couple different tests. We have in clinical trials blood tests that we're hoping just a few years out, which would be amazing, especially for rural areas that don't have the money or the equipment to do any of the other testing. But there's Lewy body, which is the kind that Robin Williams had, vascular dementia, front temporal, which is Bruce Willis's diagnosis. So, we definitely have the front and center because it's the most common with Alzheimer's, but our website covers, we have whole sections on Lewy body, we have whole sections on vascular, so people can know that there's different symptoms. Some of them can overlap, but they definitely have different needs. So we have sections where people can go in there and get educated about that, because some of the ones that are only 5 to 10%, obviously that makes it even harder to find information on. So that makes it challenging when you do have one of the ones that isn't as common. So feel comfortable that you can go to our website and look for other information besides just Alzheimer's. It's there. And that's why I encourage you to take at least one of the cards or one of the things, because it does have a web page on there. It does have a phone number on there. And when I give these things out, or if I give my business card out to people, I'm always, here's my information. Don't ever call me. I don't want you to have to call me, but at least you have it in case somebody, your brother calls you and says, my wife is whatever. And at least then you have something to be able to tell them, or you have a little bit of information to maybe feel like you're helpful. And so that's what I usually encourage people. And I said, often this isn't information for yourself, but it's information that you might need in a later date. So who's at risk for Alzheimer's? So 1 in 3 seniors die with Alzheimer's or some kind of dementia. The risk is, age, obviously, that's more common over 65, but there are younger incidences where it does happen. Family history, there's a few smaller percentages of ones that are hereditary. Head injury obviously increases your risk. If you're a football player or, a BMX professional bike rider or, something where you bang your head a lot. Sometimes even for elderly folks that maybe they have a history of falling. And when they fall, they might hit their head often. So there's a lot of different reasons why head injury might come into play. And then, of course, your lifestyle. Lifestyle choices that you make. Often, a lot of people aren't aware of this, that African Americans are 2 times higher risk for Alzheimer's, and Hispanic Latino 1.5 times. And they don't specifically know why. They're suspicious of the fact that a lot of times those 2 categories have less access to really good medical care and health education. And often they're in scenarios where it's a food desert and there's not even really good, healthy food for them to have. So that's kind of what some of the research direction that they're going into. That's what they're kind of suspicious of, is that's the reason why there's some higher risk there. So the impact on caregivers, people age 65 plus survive an average of 4 to 8 years after a diagnosis. Some live as long as 20 years. Individuals with Alzheimer's, they spend an average of 40% of the time in dementia's most severe stage, the last stage. The longest duration of the disease contributes significantly to the public health impact of Alzheimer's and obviously the health of the caregivers or the family members around them. We really encourage, getting an early diagnosis as early as you can. That's really a gift to the family so that they can figure out who can do what, make a plan. The patient can actually make some decisions about what they maybe would like to have happen in their lives. And that's a real gift to the people who are going to have to care for them so that they don't have to guess, what would dad want? If he can't find a word, does he want me to supply it? Or would he want me to give him more time? And things like that. So, of caregivers who provide more than 40 hours a week, 73% of those are women. But there is a higher risk for Alzheimer's for females. And they're not really sure on that either, likely because there's a few ages that they live a few years longer too, and the risk goes up as you age. I always really emphasize the impact of Alzheimer's on the workplace, because I'm sure there's a few business owners in the room. And so it can be really impactful. And so it's nice if, whoever does HR or whoever ever takes care of hiring, that kind of thing, that they have at least a little bit of information in case it comes up, so that they can be aware where to send them. But it's 6 in 10 caregivers that were employed in the last year, they did over 35 hours per week, usually of caregiving. It can really impact calling in sick, coming in late, having to take time to take, a couple hours in the afternoon to take somebody maybe to a doctor appointment or something like that. So 18% of caregivers went from full-time to part-time, or they cut back their hours. 9% of caregivers gave up work entirely. So as we all know, it's really hard to find, skilled employees, and especially if it's somebody who has been working for you a long time, that the relationships that they have, the information they have about your business, is really priceless. So being flexible, if a situation like this comes up in their life, is huge. 6% of them just retire early. So I mentioned the 1 trillion, so it's 1.1 trillion that they expect it's going to be for the cost in 2050. It's just, does anybody have any idea about kind of like an average cost of a care facility that's memory care? Is anybody familiar?
About a year or
a month,
10 grand.
higher.
Oh,
Yeah, it's 12 to 15, often. And so a lot of times people feel like mom and dad have plenty of money, and it's really interesting with the cost of care. Obviously, long-term care insurance is looking better and better as an investment with the increased cost of care. So, I'm gonna talk a little bit about some of the free resources we have. All of our resources are free. I work out of the Linwood office. And I'm a community outreach person, but my focus of work is really education out in the community, letting people know who we are, what we do. But I, work with volunteers. I recruit and train volunteers. And the volunteers that I work with is, I have educators who do the same thing I do. That are just volunteers, because the territory that I cover is Snohomish, Skagit, Whatcom, Whidbey, San Juan, Jefferson, and Clown County. So I kind of have the whole corner of the state. I have about 40 volunteers that are my team that help me get my touches out in the community. Last year, it was a little bit over 1,700 people that I touched through my programs. My favorite program is my support groups. And so I have 2 facilitators for each support group. About half of my support groups are in person and the other half are by Zoom. People have different preferences. And we have one in person that's really great. That's right in Snohomish, right at the Snohomish Senior Center. We have one in Smoky Point, one downtown Everett. Those are all in person. But I tell people that they can join any of them. My support groups are for caregivers of non-paid caregivers. People who are working within a caregiver, can be family of choice, can be a neighbor, anybody who might be coming in contact with somebody that has some kind of dementia. And they can go there and not feel isolated and hear tips and tricks maybe from somebody else who's their person is further along than they are, so they can kind of plan on what to expect, that kind of thing. And it can really psychologically save their life and save them from going crazy. So, the support groups are really great, and we have a little bit over, I think we have 11 now. We have 11 now in Snohomish County alone, and 3 just in Edmonds. I opened one there a year ago, and the first class we had 30 people showed up. And I was like, yeah, that's not going to work, because it's about 10 to 12. That's perfect. So people have time to share and things like that. And so the senior center there was gracious enough to immediately give us space for a second. And we let people have a choice, and they booked, evening or afternoon class. And so it's a really great way for people to get support. So if you know anybody who's helping somebody, make sure they get to a support group. We have a helpline that's a 24/7 helpline. 1-800-272-3900. And that's on. So like I said, take at least one pieces of the materials. And it's around the clock, 365. The specialists have master's level clinicians credentials, so they can get confidential support and information. Bilingual staff, over 200 languages. Live chat is available, and TTY service is also available. We have a lot of people, especially if it's a caregiver that's maybe middle to late stage, they might put that phone number on their quick call, and they're calling at 2 a.m. My wife just started doing this new behavior. My wife just started this new medication. And they can call with questions, and it's very helpful that they can talk to somebody who kind of understands what they're going through. So we have a lot of virtual programs that are available that you can do through Zoom to learn more about the disease. I think one of the most popular is the 10 warning signs, because that class goes over normal aging behavior versus maybe things you need to be concerned about. So that's a lot of times one of the most popular classes for people to go into our website and take. And that way they can kind of be prepared for if their parents are aging or whatever. We do have a lot of support groups that are not just, we have one that's for paid healthcare people. We have a couple of doctors in Seattle that's running that class. We have an LGBTQ. We have an all-male caregivers group. We have a long distance. We have actually parents taking care of children, because sometimes that happens, especially if you live till 80 and your kid's 50 and something happens. So, sometimes dementia might come into play because maybe they had a stroke or something like that. And so sometimes that might increase the risk of dementia coming to bear. We also have a recorded that a lot of people aren't aware of, that is Understanding Alzheimer's and Dementia, that's in sign language. So that somebody can watch that if they would like. A lot of people don't understand that we have this really cool app on our phone, and it's called Science Hub. You can download this app. And science isn't everybody's jam, but, you know, some people are interested in it and they want to know, you know, that's why we're trying to encourage people to get an early diagnosis, because the two latest drugs that you've probably heard about in the news are only effective for a certain window of time in the early stages. And so it actually just kind of puts off the symptoms. Could be just a few years, could be 5 years. Of course, all medications don't work for everybody. But if I had a choice of maybe having a year or two longer of memories, then I certainly would grab at it. But if they put off their diagnosis because they don't want to face the fact that they might have it, then they might miss the window that would offer the opportunity to do that. But the Science Hub app a lot of times is interesting for a lot of people, especially if they've had a grandparent and a parent, and they're concerned about, you know, maybe their children or those kinds of things. And so maybe they want to know, you know, what's happening in the research world, what's in clinical trials, more about a medication maybe that just came out because they know somebody. You know, a lot of people come up and ask me about the most recent medication. I'm like, well, it's just not available everywhere because it's intravenous. And so the hospitals and stuff are having to try and figure out how to administer it. They have to set up a system for it. It's just not just because they announce it's approved. Yep, it's available. We can go down the street and get it. So, so a lot of people just don't realize enough about it. And that's kind of the interesting stuff that if you're interested in science, you can learn about. Let's see, but today. Oh, I think it sounds like there's somebody in the room that this is going to be appropriate for. I'm not really sure. We have a free class online that's for first responders. And I know that you cover that kind of stuff in some of your training and stuff like that, but a lot of people don't know that we have a class that was put together by with police and fire in New York. It's actually been a couple times been on Good Morning America and stuff like that, talking about it. But anyway, there's a free class that they can go on there and it's recorded, and it goes over a brief dementia overview, which would be a good refresher. It goes over wandering, driving, abuse and neglect, shoplifting, disaster response. So it would be great if, you know, my local fire or police, you know, refresh themselves and so that they're aware of how to approach a house, maybe that they know might have somebody in it, and know how to respond or talk to somebody with dementia, or if they find them wandering. And a lot of people don't think about it, but sometimes a shoplifting stop in a grocery store might be a dementia case. Sometimes a driving might be a dementia case. And so interestingly enough, that I thought, you know, when you see the silver, you know, flashes and you're like, oh, but if somebody wanders off without their car, they can't do that because it has to have a car. So I know, and it never occurred to me, and somebody brought it up and I was like, what? I mean, you know, and so, yeah, I found that like an epiphany for me. I was like, oh, wow. I just kind of always lumped in that if there was somebody that was senior that was missing, you know, it was always that, but it's not true. So anyway, we have a first responder class. So if you know anybody who's in the first responder category, encourage them to go to our website and take these classes. They even get a certificate. So,
But I'll pass it on there.
so, I mean, I know the sheriff's department here, their search and rescue are really good about, you know, and they've actually came as guest speakers to talk at our journey conference and stuff that we have every year in March. And so we're actually pretty lucky, the community that we live in, we have some really highly skilled in that category. But there might be a few people who are in that field that maybe want to learn a little bit more or keep more fresh. So like I said, half my job is just letting people know who we are, what we do, and what we offer. And so, you know, that's what I'm here doing. The chicken dance. So in Snohomish County and King, we have a special service that's available. Not all of my counties have. And it's connections care consultations. And two of our consultants are Spanish speakers. And it provides a one-on-one guidance to families, individuals to address immediate needs and plans for the future. And they just call our 800 number for more information and just say that they want to ask about a consult. And they will get connected with one of our counselors. And they will go over like almost like a little navigator, you know, what's your plan for the next week? What's, you know, what can you do for the next month to figure stuff out? So I did bring a flyer about our walk. Our walk is in October. It's on the 7th. It's at Boxcar Park, downtown Everett. And so our walk is called Snohomish County Walk for Alzheimer's. And a lot of people don't know a lot about our flowers. Have you guys seen our colored flowers? No. I don't, oh, yeah, I did. Okay. I'm more prepared than I thought. I'm so impressed. This early in the morning, I didn't really think I'd grab everything. So the blue flower is for somebody who has dementia, and they can come if they're physically healthy enough and get a blue flower, wind flower, and walk. If it's a good activity for somebody, you know, to get out and do. And our walks are always really pet friendly too. So, you know, bring your dog. The yellow flower is for the caregivers of caring for somebody. The purple flower is if you want to come and walk in remembrance of somebody. So if you have a grandmother or grandfather or somebody that, you know, brother, sister that passed away, you can come and remember them. And then the orange flower is just, you know, that you're just a supporter of the cause. So those are the 4 colors. And I don't want to forget the white flower. The white flower is the first survivor that we're hoping to someday have. So they always talk about that, usually opening ceremonies is the white flower. And then the last thing I want to talk about, a lot of people don't know that we have, it's an event called The Longest Day, and of course it happens on June 21st. But The Longest Day is an interesting event that with everybody having busy lives, it's a way that if they are super busy and they want to do some kind of activity to raise funds to support us, they can do it in any way that they would like and do it through The Longest Day. So if you're a quilter or a swimmer or a horseback rider or a, you know, whatever, golfer, you can do a small little thing and do it as the Longest Day event. And go onto the website and give your money that way. I think the funnest one is this last couple months ago down at the Downs, we had a corgi race. And so, and that's really popular. It was on ESPN. It's actually a really pretty big event. We've been having it quite a few years. And so, and that's the Longest Day event. So that just kind of gives you an idea that you can kind of really think of anything. And so it's just a way that if somebody's a business owner or has some special way that they think that they could do some kind of activity to support us in some way, then that's the way that they can do it with their busy lives. So that's kind of wrapping up, you know, what I had to say, and I'll open it for any questions, and I'll lay out my things so that as you guys, if you guys want to come up and grab anything, I did bring a list of like all the classes that we have online, and a flyer for the walk in case you know, and you guys might have kids in school that maybe want to do a little team and they maybe need some volunteer time or something like that. You can grab a flyer with that. I brought the 10 warning signs flyer and 1-800 cards. And oh, I brought a list of a few of the support groups that are in Stonehenge County in case somebody might know anybody that might need a support group. So any questions? I covered everything so completely that I'm sure I covered everything and you don't have a single question, but just in case, I always like to open the floor and see if there's any questions. Oh.
Can you talk a little bit more about lifestyle choices that contribute?
Sure, I can. One of the classes that's available on our line and that I do is called Healthy Brain and Body. And that class goes over science research right now of the best choices that you can make. It covers sleep, covers eating habits, it covers exercise, and there's actually even clinical trials where people who started exercising have actually increased and improved their memory time just from starting to exercise, even after they haven't exercised for a while. So it talks about all those kinds of things. And so it's actually a class that's about not necessarily prevention, because obviously you can't prevent it, but you can give yourself a leg up as far as, you know, and when I go in there and I talk about things, I talked about exercising that, you know, if you're really busy or maybe you have a parent that's more lethargic and it'd be like, you know, hey mom, and during the commercials between, you know, whatever show, get up and walk around the circle. Or I talk about challenging your brain and maybe eat left-handed if you're right-handed. Or walk backwards to try and challenge you know, there's lots of little classes and little, you know, games and stuff that you can play. But if you can throw into your life little things that make your brain go, what? You know, and so when I do that class, I talk about those kinds of things. I talk about, you know, it's really important to get to sleep by 10 p.m. because your clock in your brain between 10 and 1 a.m. is actually when it cleans it. And you can't cheat. It's only between 10 and 1. So it's really important for you to get to sleep, you know, and have that time. And so that healthy brain and body class kind of covers You know, it talks about, you know, a Mediterranean diet, obviously, and things like that, because, you know, when we're talking about the brain, 25% of your blood flow, every pump goes to your brain. So it's really critical for you to try and keep those, the vascular clear. So as much blood can pump there as possible. And so I always say what's good for the heart is good for the brain. And so, you know, a lot of things that they talk about, you know, if you're from the heart disease association or, you know, any of those kinds of things, you know, that's why people with diabetes have a higher risk. Because it slows the blood flow. So anyway, that's what we kind of talk about in the Healthy Brain and Body. And that's a free class you can take on our website. And they go over, you know, all those kinds of things. And I always just encourage those classes because they're pre-recorded and you can take them whenever you have time. And even if you only have a half an hour, they're all about an hour. You can just take half of it and finish it later.
At 11 o'clock at night.
Yeah, well, and another thing is there's classes on there about, you know, and that way people who are caregivers can take it whenever maybe their person's sleeping or, you know, whatever like that too.
I just wanted to share that we have a local film producer, her name is Drew Miller, and she's done a short film. It's only 22 minutes long and it's available on YouTube. It's called Chocolate. And it does an amazing, beautiful, really impactful job of sharing how a young woman who has child-aged children has sudden onset dementia, leaves her home, and her experience is really beyond. So if you guys have an extra 20 minutes, check out that film from Chocolate on YouTube. It's beautiful. And all of your points, thanks for sharing.
Okay, I'll probably use my time.
Thank you.
In appreciation of our speakers, we do make a donation to the Dolly Parker.
Nice for the books.
Yes. So
Nice.
with that, thank you very much again, and meeting adjourned.
Wow.
On time.
Terrible.
I know. Perfect.